Something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
It sure is, and welcome to it live from the shadow of Detroit here in the heartland of America where the government remains shut down. We're kicking off another brand new day here on the Steve Gruber Show from the foxhole of freedom, which always makes me ask, who do you want in your foxhole? Lots of work to do, so let's get to it. Here are three big things this hour. Number one, well, the nightmare of flying got a lot worse starting today, we're told. Commuters getting ready for as many as 4,000 flights at more than 40 major airports to be canceled or delayed today to keep the skies safe. Thank a Democrat along the way if you have trouble today, and I'm sorry if you have to fly today. Number two, Zoran Mandani, whatever his name is, as soon as he won as a socialist in New York City, you know what he did? He jetted off to a luxury resort to party with other big-name Democrats on a private jet to Puerto Rico. You know, the man of the people and all that stuff. And number three, Tesla shareholders, listen to this, voted 3-1 to give Elon Musk a $1 trillion pay package. $1 trillion pay package. But don't worry. He won't get the cash if Tesla doesn't reach $8.5 trillion in market capitalization in 10 years. Also, a federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to fully fund SNAP benefits. I'm not sure where he thinks the money's going to come from, ordering them to do that today. And if you are a GLP-1 user, good news for you, I suppose. President Trump struck a deal to lower prescription prices on Wegovy and Zepbound. So one group cannot eat because of Democrats, and those that eat too much will be able to cut back thanks to the guy who loves Big Macs and Diet Cokes. Yeah, welcome to Free Speech, Free for All Friday. Are you fired up? Because I am. The one thing that I think is most important today to talk about, the filibuster. Guys, it's got to go. If not for Manchin and Sinema, the two moderate Democrats that stood in the way before, Democrats would have already gotten rid of the filibuster. It would be gone. They will pack the Supreme Court. They will turn Puerto Rico and D.C. into a state. They will open the borders. They will disregard any voter ID. They will give benefits to anybody that comes here, free to all. Okay, so it's Free Speech, Free for All Friday. Powered by Patriot Mobile's Common Sense Hotline, 877-310-9966. 877-310-9966. I want to hear from you today, America. Remember, keep it clean. Brock is nimble on smashing the red button, but come on, be nice. He's older now. All right, so I mean, nothing personal, Brock, of course.
Yes, I am, and I'm not offended this time.
So much better. Here we go. Free for All Friday. We start with Mike in the great state of Arizona. Mike, how are you today?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you for taking our questions. We really appreciate it. Two items. I believe that all the violence and things that go on will not be stopped until the FBI or Department of Justice raids the Soros compound and starts RICO proceedings against him.
I think that he is a problem for the United States. By the way, and Mike, I think you're not wrong about that. Where this money comes from, illegal money comes into campaigns from all over the world through different mechanisms, you know, different nonprofits, different NGOs, different mechanisms they use. They got it mastered. Act Blue has this all figured out. But let me just say this. Programming note for those of you who listen to the MTN network of radio stations in the state of Michigan. 3 affiliates of ours are going to be taken over on the 1st of December by a sports programming network that is owned by George Soros. We're changing stations around. We'll be fine. Don't worry. We'll be here. We're not losing our footprint. We're not losing our voice. But, man, he is trying. 50 stations around the country, December 1st. We'll be changing formats to sports. And I get it. They own all the major networks for sports, and they're going to make a pile of money doing it. But they also silence 50 conservative stations by doing so, in large part. So now you've been told that's what's happening here. George Soros, it's called Odyssey, a company he bought out of bankruptcy for $400 million a couple of years ago during the Biden administration that fast-tracked his whole deal. Would never happen that fast, but they fast-tracked it thanks to the friends that they had in the previous administration. Let's jump down. So anyhow, starting December 1st, some of the radio stations are going to change. There's going to be a shuffle, but don't worry. You can always go to stevegruber.com and listen live. All right, that will not change. All right, now you've been told. Randy is in Florida. Randy, how are you today?
Hey, good morning, Steve. How you doing today, buddy?
You know, I'm fighting every day. I feel like we're losing right now, but go ahead.
All right, Steve. I agree with you with the filibuster. I mean, we have to get the mega agenda going. There's absolutely no way we're going to get this done with the Democrats.
No way.
The Democrats seem to hate us so bad. Just pass. Let's just do away with the filibuster and just get the mega agenda going.
And here's the thing. They don't have the votes. And I'm going to tell you this. If Democrats get the Senate back and they have the ability to kill the filibuster, they will do it immediately. They will pack the Supreme Court. They will create new states of Puerto Rico and D.C. so they have instant Democrat senators. They will rig the entire system so that Republicans will never win again. Randy, you're exactly right. The filibuster, top of mind for me today. But you know what? I want to play bite one here from Ted Cruz, because here's a guy who should understand what we're looking at and doesn't seem to grasp it. Listen.
I'm sure you were at the Republican breakfast with President Trump. All right, he wants to end the filibuster, okay? And he's, campaigning on it, talking about it, tweeting on it. He talked to you all at the breakfast meeting. What does Senator Ted Cruz think about this?
Look, the votes are not there to end the filibuster. It is not every president of our lifetime has wanted to end the filibuster, because if you want to move legislation through, the filibuster necessarily slows things down. I can tell you that when Joe Biden was in the White House and Democrats had the House and Senate, it is only the filibuster that stopped us from absolute devastation.
It was only 2 Democrats who stopped it from going away. Come on, wake up, Cruz. Let's go to Cliff. He's in Illinois today. Cliff, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Yeah, the filibuster. Listen, if we don't get our law, the executive orders codified and into law, the country has no chance. We know that they're going to go ahead and get rid of the filibuster so they can do like what you had already said. But I got one more thing to say about it all, is that the Dems, when they're in power, they don't follow the laws. Supreme Court says you can't pay off a student loans, and the Biden administration said, screw you, Supreme Court. We have laws that say you can't come to this country illegally, and they said, screw the damn laws. We're going to let you in anyway. So how are you going to be able to hold our people together in order to get rid of this filibuster and have it?
I don't know, but it's the only thing that matters today is the filibuster. I truly believe that.
Right.
The Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. The Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. 877-310-9966. A lot to talk about. If you're flying today, I am sorry. I am sorry about that. Could be a nightmare. And if you are flying today, give me a report from wherever you are at 877-310-9966. It's free for all Friday. I'm excited to share with you a special holiday promotion from Patriot Mobile. Look, if you haven't switched to Patriot Mobile, I say why not? It's really easy to switch. It used to be such a pain. It's not anymore. Patriot Mobile's Holiday 25 promotion runs through the end of the year, December 31st. When you use the promo Holiday 25, as in like Christmas Day is the 25th, Holiday 25, 2 months, free service, Patriot Mobile right now. America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They've been our hotline sponsor for a very long time. We use Patriot Mobile ourselves. It's terrific service, great coverage, great customer care, and a company that cares about our shared values. Join us. Finish the year strong. Visit patriotmobile.com, Holiday 25. Sign up today, please. 2 months of free service. All right. Back to the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. Paul is in Pittsburgh. Paul, how are you today?
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm well. What's on your mind?
I can hardly hear you here on my phone here, but first, can I offer a program? I wish I'm watching you on Real America Voice, and I don't get the second hour of you on the show. It really drives me crazy, but I don't want to digress here. But my question is, whatever happened to the big day that the Supreme Court said that they cannot, that judges, these rogue judges cannot do these rulings anymore? It was such a big day, and now all of a sudden we're back to where we were, where just like recently these judges said that this money that has to be paid out for SNAP benefits was supposed to be used for something else.
Well, here's the thing, and thank you for the call, Paul. You're exactly right. The problem with the Supreme Court decision, it was too narrow, and they left the door open. Well, if it could be a class action lawsuit, this or that, it's going to have to go back. It's going to have to go back. But if we don't get rid of the filibuster, none of it will matter because they'll get rid of all these things. I'm serious about this. The Democrats are going to do it in a heartbeat. There is not a moderate member of the Democrat Party anymore. They're all afraid of the AOCs and the Ilhan Omars and all the fringe people. Hakeem Jeffries is probably going to be primaried this year. Yeah, it's all true. And they're afraid of these people. But you're right. These nationwide injunctions from federal district judges are wrong, period, paragraph. They're wrong. These are basically local judges that are issuing decisions for the entire country. Can't do that. It's going to end up back at the Supreme Court. Rob is out west in Idaho this morning. Rob, welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning, Steve. Looking good.
Thank you.
I just wanted to remind everybody, if you don't know, the Marine Corps turns 250 Monday. So Semper Fi to America. We are out there. We love you. We love this country, and we will do whatever we have to do over and over again. I'm sorry I don't have a lot of say on anything else right now because it all irritates me too much, and my ITs will get plugged up, and I'll start saying things I don't want to say. So I just wanted to wish everybody a happy belated America's birthday, and God bless the Marine Corps' 250th birthday.
Rob, well said.
And a good morning to all.
And thank you. And Veterans Day coming up on the 11th, of course. Used to be Armistice Day, the 11th hour, the 11th month of the 11th year, something like that. But now it's Veterans Day, right? And we appreciate all of it. We've got to fight for this country, my friends. We do. There is no Democrat Party. The party of John F. Kennedy died long ago, really died on Tuesday, the final heave of the body politic dying. The Democrat Party is gone. Let's go to Ken in Pittsburgh. 2 votes from Pittsburgh this morning. Well done, men. Ken, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, Steve? Real quick, I have a couple of things I want to go over. The Republicans, I'm in Westmoreland County. I'm outside of Allegheny County. I'm not in Pittsburgh. Allegheny County, they've been decimated. This last election, we were decimated. Westmoreland County, we held the line. Everything here is still red. But anyway, I called in before. I made a suggestion of sending illegals to Ukraine. You had a good laugh about that. I wish you would have taken it under advisement. But anyway, what we're doing, and everywhere I go up here, everyone knows me. They ask me one question.
What is it?
And they ask me, when is Trump going to lower the price of gas? So I did the research on what's going on here, and it's in all the blue states. It took me a while to figure it out. I started calling into radio stations up here to try to get the information out. But we have up here what's known as a rainy day fund. You may have one where you're at. They used to call it a slush fund. Then they used to call it petty cash, but those names were too corrupt. Well, anyway, when the SNAP benefits came to be up here, Josh Shapiro decided to throw a measly $5 million at these people with SNAP benefits. Well, I went after Shapiro. Well, on your TV today, on your show, it shows Shapiro accessing state funds. Well, I wonder where he got that idea. Well, our rainy day fund here is over $7 billion.
You can feed the people.
Every second of every day, tax money pours into that, and it doesn't help the people of Pennsylvania. That's why we're paying $1 more a gallon in these blue states than in these red states.
Thanks for the call. Greatly appreciate it, Ken. You're exactly right. Pennsylvania today is one of the higher states, according to AAA. 325 is your state average. You jump down to places like Mississippi, it's 260, 262 Louisiana. Gas prices should be lower. Oil prices are not high. We are becoming an energy-dominant nation. We are dominating the world. I agree with you. Let me get to Steve in West Virginia before the break. Steve, how are you?
Doing well, Steve. God bless you, your crew, and Ivy.
Thank you.
I want to touch on that filibuster. You know, they are in violation of the Constitution. If they're not representing the state, they are supposed to have a sit-in replacement temporarily. Now, I don't know why Donald Trump don't go to the Supreme Court and force them to show up to work.
Well, that's a good question. But, you know, they can go to work. But if they don't vote to open the government, the Democrats are not voting to open the government. 4,000 flights will be canceled today. SNAP benefits, like we just talked about, not going out to 42 million people. Now, that's a bigger problem because we have 42 million people on SNAP. But all of this is by design by the Democrats, but they don't know how to get out of it now. They don't. Republicans, no spine. No spine. I'll be back. All right, we're going to jump right back into it because I want to hear from you guys today. Look, the filibuster, the Democrats will get rid of it immediately, and every nightmare for this country will come true. Open borders, pack the Supreme Court, add states for the sake of having states. It's not like the Democrats care about Puerto Rico or D.C. They just want more power. It's a roadway to power is what it is. Ken is in North Carolina, the Tar Heel State. Ken, how are you?
Hi, Steve. Enjoy your show. You use a lot of common sense and reasonable stuff that Charlie Kirk used, and I think that went pretty well for him. I just had a statement about the time changes and a question.
All right, go ahead.
Time changes, why not put the time halfway in between and leave it alone year-round? I don't never hear nobody say that.
I think they should leave the clocks alone.
The shutdown. I don't see why they can't just use the nuclear option only on government shutdowns.
I agree.
And that would be a big step forward.
But I'd like the nuclear shutdown on the SAVE Act and a few other things, too. Look, we need to get some things done. We need to make sure that voting has integrity in this country. We need to make sure that our borders remain closed after a Democrat takes over again. We need to make sure that people that are here can't drive 18-wheelers down the highway with the inability to read English. There's a whole bunch of things that need to be done, and people like Ted Cruz don't have the spine today to get it done. Thank you for the call, Ken. Good stuff. Ed in Georgia, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. What's up?
Okay. My question is completely off base with what you've been talking about this morning, but we are still being deluged with chemtrails in upstate Georgia. Now, when I say deluged, it only happened once this week, but it covered the whole city of Dalton, Georgia. It covered the whole city of Carrollton. You couldn't even see the sky. I live in Canton. There was a few chemtrails that came over the top of me, but I became aware of these, and I'm not really sure what they're spraying.
Well, I'm not sure either, so I got to leave it there because I'm going up against a break here, Ed. But anybody, listen to me. You can send me an email on this concern or anything else. Go to stevegruber.com, and there's a spot there. You click on it. You can send me an email. What do you see where you are? Always want to know what's going on in your part of the country, chemtrails or anything else. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, back to it as we jump in. Look, I take your calls from all over the country, and if there's anybody out there today that's being jammed up by the flight problems, let me know. If you're being jammed up by the flight problems, let me know. If you're stuck in an airport, 4,000 flights today to be stopped or canceled or delayed because of the ongoing refusal by the Democrats to open the United States government. In order to keep it safe, Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation, says we have to slow things down. Cancel some flights. That's the way it is. Look, I've got Danny in Maryland next. Danny, how are you?
Hi, Steve.
What's up?
Hey, Steve. Hey, Steve.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me or not? We got to go.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, go.
Why can't they get back to work? Because if this thing drags on through December, January, February, and March into the spring and summer, what's going to happen?
Well, it's all going to go south is what's going to happen. People are going to be really angry by that point. There's some movement on Capitol Hill today, I'm told, that some Democrats are actually talking about a ways out of this now. We'll see what happens, Danny, but we've got real problems because they refuse to do anything until the Republicans will agree to $1.5 trillion that we don't have to pay for people that don't belong here and so on and so forth. And the SNAP benefits should be paid today. They should be. We should figure out why we have so many people on it, but it should be paid. The military should be paid. The TSA should be paid. Air traffic controllers should be paid so we wouldn't have these flight problems today. It's that simple. And I guess my question would be, and I don't know this, and I'm sorry about my ignorance, but if you remove the filibuster and get some of these things done, can you not put it back in place? Can you not go through the priority list, being the SAVE Act, opening government, making sure the nation is secure, codifying things like a secure border? Why couldn't you take the filibuster away and then put it back? Just a thought. Mike is in the great state of South Carolina that a week ago, I was in South Carolina. Wish I was still there.
Good
Mike,
morning.
how are you?
I'm blessed beyond measure. Thank you.
Thank you. What's on your mind?
The persecution of Donald Trump. You know, they're going to persecute him for the remainder of his term in office. So this will be 8 years. Just think about the man that was also persecuted in his own country for trying to lead others and do the right thing for them. I just wish that people would just relax a little bit, let him do his job, and see how this plays out in the end.
But they won't do that.
He's going to be our president for the next 4 years.
Yeah, they won't do it 3 years now, and that's why I say. And if we don't get things together, if Republicans don't understand why Ma'am Danny won in New York, if they don't identify with people and their suffering and their concerns and their worries, his presidency will be effectively over January 3rd. 2027. Thank you for the call. This is important. It's important stuff. Let's go to the state of New Jersey, where magically they found hundreds of thousands of votes they've never had before on Tuesday. It was a remarkable thing to watch. Chitterelli got 125 or 130,000 more votes than he did before. Got more votes than the incumbent governor, and yet still lost by 450,000. It was a remarkable thing. Joe is in New Jersey, the magic place. Joe, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, Steve? Hey, everybody. Yeah, listen, I know New Jersey is kind of a pain in the butt right now with what happened, unfortunately, but there's just some things that have been kind of annoying me, and that's, I think our Attorney General, she needs a little bit more teeth, right? Like, I don't think that she's doing what she should be doing. I don't think, if there's crimes that are committed against the president, like, for example, Obama directed a false intelligence report to use to basically spy on him for years. How do we know that he's not doing the same thing now with all these activist judges? She needs to be out there telling the people with the command presence what she's going to do.
Yeah, the Attorney General? Yeah, I agree. What are your opinions on Pam Bondi, everybody? I can't disagree with Joe there. Thank you for the phone call. What are your thoughts on Pam Bondi? Again, you can call the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline, 877-310-9966, or send me an email. Go to stevegruber.com. Send me an email. What's on your mind? What concerns you where you live? These are important topics. But Pam Bondi, yeah, at this point I am woefully underimpressed. Clyde is in Mississippi today. Clyde, how are you?
Oh, doing just fine this morning. How y'all doing?
I'm good. What's on your mind?
Well, a couple of things on my mind. One thing is the economy, and it's not coming up fast enough to suit everybody, obviously, and they holding that against Trump. One thing needs to be straightened up if they want to get that in line is the trucking in the United States. In the 80s when
the trucking company scared the life out of the government with a shutdown. You know, they proceeded at that time to take all power away from the truck drivers, all of it, and they did. And, you know, I've been hauling cows. I started hauling cows to West Texas when I was 16 years old. I'm 68 years old, and now I can't drive a truck anymore because my neck's too big. But yet, if I am of Muslim religion, I don't even have to give my name to get a CDL in New York.
That's remarkable.
Now,
There's another
if they
thing,
don't get a
Clyde.
hand
It's a great thing you pointed out. Thank you for that. Here's the thing. We should never give a driver's license of any sort to anyone who says no name given. We should not give a driver's license to anyone who does not have a name on it. We should not give a driver. I have to pass a proficiency test on road signs to get a driver's license in Michigan where I live. Why would we hand the keys to an 80,000-pound missile going down the open interstates of America with the inability to read English? California, Illinois, New York, you're putting the rest of the country at danger, which is why in Indiana they're arresting these people right and left. More states should be doing the same. Trevor is in Arkansas. Trevor, what do you have today?
Good morning, Steve. Thank you for taking my call. My question to you is, why aren't they bringing more attention to the BRAIN initiative with 10 to 20 million more?
All right, I lost him. All right, we're going to move right on. I don't know what happened there. Lost the phone. I'm going to jump to Miami Beach here, Brock. I want to hear from Laura. I haven't had many ladies today. Laura, how are you today?
Hi, Steve. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm just calling about the SNAP program. I am just these people. You have made a remark about why so many people are on SNAP. They don't want to get a job. They don't want to work. This young generation doesn't want to work.
Well, there's some truth to that. But in fairness, look, we've had people on food stamps my entire existence. There are certainly some people that need some help from time to time, but it's not supposed to be a lifestyle. It's not supposed to be permanent residency on the SNAP list.
These Democrats aggravate me. I'm just so aggravated with all of them.
I can't disagree with you. Thank you, Laura, for the call. Too much. 14% of Americans. Roger, in Vermont, I got about 40 seconds. What's on your mind?
Hey, Steve. Yeah, I wish these Republicans would get rid of that filibuster.
Yes.
And like you said, put it in after. And there's about these freaking judges. Oh, I'm so sick and tired of these judges trying to stop our president from doing his agenda. I wish the only judges that the president and the executive branch would only answer to would be the Supreme Court.
All right. Greatly appreciate the call. All right. Still to come today. We're going to talk about something really important with a new partner of ours. I need you to support our partners here at the program, which make it possible every single day. We'll do that after the break, and then we'll get to Ronnie, Tom, Wayne, and Tim. to it now. If you've seen the latest numbers on Alzheimer's and dementia, you know this is something touching more and more families each and every year. Right now, an estimated 7 million Americans over 65 are living with Alzheimer's. That's roughly 1 in 9 older adults. Experts say that number could double over the next 20 or 30 years. It's a remarkable number and concerning. Worldwide, we're talking about nearly 60 million people living with dementia and almost 10 million new cases every year. Now there's a study making headlines about a new experimental pill being studied for people at high risk of Alzheimer's disease, folks who carry the APOE4 gene. The early buzz is that it might help reduce the risk of developing dementia later in life, though results are mixed. To help us unpack this, we've got an old friend and industry expert joining me. Joe from Longevity Wellness is here. He's been in the food and beverage and pharmaceutical world for a very long time, and he knows how to separate the hype from the real science. Joe, welcome back to the program.
Hey, thanks so much, Steve. It's great to be here again. And you're absolutely right. Those numbers are staggering. In fact, the World Health Organization calls dementia one of the top 10 leading causes of death worldwide. In fact, Alzheimer's alone accounts for about 70% of those cases. And what's really concerning is that a lot of these people start showing the early changes in the brain function way before the symptoms even occur, which is why there's a lot of interest in prevention as far as catching this before they can get it, before it gets worse, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so here's the question. The word breakthrough is being used here. And I always look at that word and go, well, is that true? It makes sense. So let's talk about this new pill everyone's been hearing about. Is it really a breakthrough?
Well, it's an interesting study, Steve, and definitely worth watching, but I don't think it's the breakthrough that people are really quite hoping for just yet. See, this isn't a treatment for people who already have dementia. It's being studied mostly in middle-aged adults who have that particular genetic risk factor. And the early data shows some potential for reducing that future risk, but it's still very, very preliminary. We still don't know what some of those long-term safety or side effects are, and that's really where the caution comes in.
Well, that's fair enough. So it's not exactly the silver bullet the headlines make it sound like. It's important, but it's not an end-all.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. And that's usually what happens with new pharmaceuticals is they can be promising, but they come with a lot of unknowns. And sometimes these unknowns don't show up until years later. And that's why it's good for people to stay informed, but also be cautious, especially when we're talking about something as complex as the brain.
Yeah, so it sounds like the takeaway from what you're telling me here. Research is important. Testing new drugs is important. The rest of us can still focus on what is proven to help maintain brain health. Things we can do today. What are those things?
Well, there's a lot of things that we do know. We know about brain health. We know about nutrition. And one of the biggest pieces of the brain puzzle is DHA, which is docosahexaenoic acid. It's a type of omega-3 fatty acid. In fact, DHA is literally the building block of the brain. It makes up a big portion of the fat in our brain cells, and it helps those cells communicate.
Yeah, that's the same DHA that's found naturally in things like fish oil. I mean, Ivy makes me take it all the time. But this is one of the reasons that you have produced this new product called Longevity, because it has DHA and a whole lot more for your brain health, your gut health, your nutrition, because for whatever reason, doctors in this country overlook nutrition all too often, Joe. And you put together a product that'll get it right across the board in all sorts of important places, right?
Absolutely. In fact, DHA plays a major role in our longevity formula. When we created Longevity, we wanted to focus on whole body nutrition, not just a certain function. So the DHA, like we said, it's a natural thing found in nature. In fact, it's mostly found in fish, it's found in tuna, it's found in sardines, and even some algae-based sources. In fact, studies go back decades on DHA and why and how it is important for us. In fact, even studies earlier as this year shows that there is a link to those who have higher levels of DHA in their body. It actually is associated with better memory, better focus, and learning. And here's the most important part, Steve, that it can actually help delay cognitive decline as we age.
It can also help, I see here, with heart disease, hypertension, arthritis, depression, diabetes, even certain cancers. I mean, this is groundbreaking.
It is, and it's something that's produced naturally. So there's nothing synthetic about using DHA. And beyond all those things that you mentioned too, it helps your heart, it helps with joint mobility, your vision, and it even helps manage the body's manage inflammation in the body. And so it's kind of one of those nutrients, Steve, that kind of checks all of the boxes, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, we've been using longevity here at the house for a number of months now. My son that plays football uses it. We use it as a protein supplement, but all these nutrients are here as well. Tell the folks what's in longevity. We've got about a couple minutes here, and I want you to really explain this product and why it has so much effect.
So this is a nutritional supplement shake designed for whole body nutrition, not just a certain function. So we've included DHA and as well as some other omega-3 acids in here that help with brain health. We've also included protein that helps with muscle. We've included collagen. There's 16 grams of collagen inside one serving of longevity. Collagen is great for wound healing. It's great for soft tissue, for your joints, your tendons. And for women, women also love they love collagen because it helps with your hair, skin, and nails. We've included probiotics for gut health, so now your gut can function properly. There's natural vitamins and minerals, and this is very important, Steve. In fact, some of the natural vitamins and minerals, they come from sources like broccoli, spinach, kale, pumpkin, sweet potato, sunflower. They are real bioavailable items that are grown in gardens, not labs. And that's very, very important.
And here's one other thing. If you're in one of these weight loss programs, like a GLP-1, this is a great product to make sure you don't lose bone and muscle. Incredibly important. I got about 20 seconds for the last word. Longevity covers all these places, checks all these boxes, doesn't it, Joe?
It absolutely does. It is a whole body nutritional shake, something that is very, very simple to use. You simply add it to water. You can add it to milk. You can put it in your smoothies, but you're going to get something that you can take on a daily basis to help you feel good long term. It helps you stay sharp. But yeah, this is something everybody needs to be taking for total body nutrition.
LongevityWellness.co. Use the promo code Gruber10. You're going to save some money today. This is a great product. We use it here in the Gruber household. You should trust it as well. Joe, thank you for being here.
Hey, my pleasure, Steve. You guys be safe.
LongevityWellness.co/Gruber10. Get started today, and I'll be right back. All right, let's keep right on rolling through Free Speech, Free for All Friday. Look, I think the filibuster is the most important thing today. I do. By the way, remember, we continue the conversation with your calls for the next 2 hours. So if you're on the line, don't go anywhere. We'll get to you. We're going to go to Tom in Georgia now. Tom, how are you today?
Good morning, Steve. We love your show here in Georgia.
Thank you.
I just think there might be an alternative to the filibuster, breaking through with that, if they would just tie Congress's paychecks to the government shutdown. I think you'd see a little bit different action from them.
Funny you should mention that, Tom. A bill was put forward yesterday to stop payments to Congress, to the U.S. Senate, to the House of Representatives. The Democrats blocked it. Yeah, the Democrats blocked that bill. Imagine that. So what do they really care about? You, me? No, themselves, Tom. We've got to get, there are no alternatives. The Democrats will pack the Supreme Court. They will end voter ID. They will reinstitute mass mail-in balloting across this country. There will never be another reasonably accurate election ever. Let's see. Wayne in Kentucky, how are you today?
Good morning, Steve.
How are you?
I believe it takes both parties to, agree to get rid of the filibuster, I think. And this is what they're holding out for, the Democrat Party. This is what it's all about.
It's all about power, is what it's all about. There's no question about that, Wayne.
Right.
It's all about power. Sad but true.
Yes.
Thank you for calling in. All right, the calls are going to be stacked up. We're going to have Ronnie, Tim, Nina, Scott, all still to come, plus you. If you jump on the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline, remember there's a special going on right now. If you sign up right now with Patriot Mobile, 2 months free. Patriot Mobile's Holiday 25 promotion running through December the 31st. Use the Holiday 25 promo, 2 free months of service. It's so easy to switch. It really is. An American-based team to help you out. It is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. I use Patriot Mobile, have for years. So visit patriotmobile.com. Holiday 25 to sign up today. 2 free months. And Free for All Friday will continue right here on the Steve Gruber Show for the next 2 hours. See you around the corner. always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent. Come on, man. We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
It is, and I'm glad to have you here as we kick off another brand new hour here of the program on a Free Speech, Free for All Friday. Glad to have you here, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom as we do every single day. And we've got a lot to fight for today with everything that's going on. Three big things to note this hour. Number one, the DOJ is actively preparing to issue grand jury subpoenas relating to John Brennan in the investigation of his behavior during the Russia hoax. We'll talk about that. Number two, I'm looking at the big board here on Flight Aware. Canceled flights everywhere. Delta flights, 36 delayed, 29 canceled. That's just one example of what's going on. American Airlines, 9 canceled, 35 delayed, and the whole board is full. We'll see where this goes today, predicting 4,000 flights delayed. And number three, it is Free Speech, Free for All Friday, and the filibuster is top of mind for me. It is because this is where we are. If not for Senators Sinema and Manchin, the last time around, the Democrats would have dumped the filibuster. Puerto Rico would be a state today. The southern border would be wide open. Voter ID would be illegal, and so on and so forth. And all of those things will happen. Oh, and the Supreme Court would be packed with 6 or 9 or 55 new members, all with term limits, by the way. Let's continue. The Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline is open at 877-310-9966. Ronnie in California has been waiting patiently. Ronnie, welcome back.
Yeah, good morning, Steve. Yeah, patience is a virtue. That's for sure.
Yep.
Well, I got both of them. I got both of them for you on the chemtrails and the filibuster. So the filibuster.
Are they related?
You know, my little days of yeah, the filibusters. You know, in law school, there's two kinds of crimes in this country. There's civil and there's criminal, and the civil. We've always been civil is ruled by a preponderance of evidence.
Yeah.
And that means if I got a little bit more than you. And, you know, so majority rules. And so, you know, we got to have some faith to get rid of the filibuster that we're not going to lose a majority in the Senate or in the House or in Congress anymore. And go to the Constitution and the state laws that, you know.
Well, maybe you're right. But I think the filibuster has to go. You don't think so?
Oh, I absolutely think so. It should go tomorrow. But
okay, fair enough.
And it shouldn't even be there.
Agreed.
It shouldn't be there because it's unconstitutional, and we're ruled by majority rules.
That's exactly right. All right, I got to leave it there as I got to continue down the line here, Ronnie. I always appreciate your thoughts. I do. Let's see here. I got Tim in Louisiana. He's been patient. You've all been patient. I appreciate that. Tim, what's on your mind?
Hey, I was just telling about the filibuster. Just hold off on that. My main worry is on the Madani win over there. They're going to make that a sanctuary city and a Sharia law city. So all the women that voted for him is going to have to wear a burqa next year.
Well, that's not true. Come on now. That's not going to happen. At least not in this.
Well,
it's just not now.
Watch.
I mean,
Well,
I'm sure it's the
watch it.
goal. I mean, they'd like that
Yeah.
idea. I mean, look, I could look at what's happening in London. I get it. There's not going to be Sharia law here. There's something else, by the way. If you got rid of the filibuster, you could codify a ban on Sharia law. Look, the Constitution here requires us to have a Republican form of government. Sharia is non-compliant with the United States Constitution unless, of course, Democratic Socialists get in control and they start altering things. That's the big concern, Tim. No question about it. Appreciate it. Let's see. Nina is in North Carolina. Nina, how are you?
Hello.
Hello, Nina. You're on the air. How are you?
Good. I love your show.
Thank you.
But I'll get right to it. I'm concerned about the domino effect with the airlines and wonder if the airlines themselves couldn't temporarily pay the air traffic controllers and perhaps get reimbursed when the government opens back up to avoid the devastation to the industry. I don't know.
I don't know if that's a workaround or not. But at least you're thinking more about it.
We are a capitalist society.
Yeah, you're thinking more about it than the Democrats, apparently. But the pain is going to get real today. The pain is going to get real today. I've got a whole group of friends that are flying today to Paris later today. I don't know if they're going to make it. I'm going to stay in touch with them and see what happens. It's a sad thing for a vacation that's been planned for months, and I don't know if they're going to make it, Nina, and that's not good. Thank you for the phone call. I think her idea is it's worth considering. Look, can the airlines pay the freight? Can we find the money elsewhere? A judge just ordered the Trump administration to pay SNAP benefits, for which there's no mechanism, I understand. There's a way to pay partial SNAP benefits, but he said, just find the money. See, that's what they always, just more money. That doesn't make sense. Scott has been holding on in Illinois, just across the pond from me. Scott, how are you?
Good morning, Steve.
What's on your mind?
I know the filibuster is your focus today, and my comments will directly go to that. I think the biggest problem in America is American voters are uneducated politically.
Oh, so true.
They don't even know what a filibuster is.
So true.
Let alone know whether to agree to it or not.
You know, I've been reading a book.
Clean resolution is.
I've been reading a book that I'd recommend to all of you, and Scott, you go right to this. Thomas Jefferson said you needed a well-educated electorate. And I'm reading The Art of Power about Thomas Jefferson, fascinating individual with flaws, but fascinating and brilliant. You have to have a well-educated electorate. It's exactly what he said, Scott. We don't have that, do we?
No, we don't. No, we don't. And I don't know what the solution is. I know what I would do. I would make, along with voter ID, you have to pass a civics test or a politically education test.
Can we do that for the members of Congress too, Scott? Hey, you cannot be sworn in
100%.
as a member of Congress if you can't pass. And look, the people that come to this country legally have to pass that. And I believe that most members of Congress could not. I don't think most people could tell you the 5 things in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Maybe I'm a little jaded, but that's what I think. I doubt they could. Scott, great call.
I doubt they could.
Thank you. Debbie is in Pennsylvania. Debbie, how are you?
I'm good.
What's on your mind?
My comment is on the filibuster. I fear that the reason the Republicans don't want to get rid of it is because we have too many uniparty members that wouldn't codify everything that Trump wants anyway.
There's some truth to that. But I see some people that are starting to sway that way. Some of the senators that I wouldn't think would go that way are starting to say, hey, maybe we should get rid of it. Debbie, I agree with you. All right, I got time for one more. Gordon, you got about 45 seconds. What do you got on your mind from Michigan? Go.
Good morning, my friend. The price of diesel is ridiculous. I have a photo of the price of diesel taken at the Speedway in Charlotte from July 2020 where the price was $2.05. It skyrocketed to over $5 shortly after that during COVID. Now, it's finally under $4 a gallon, but not by much. In the Lansing area, looking at Gas Buddy, it's $3.89 at most places. It should be about the same price as 87 grade gasoline.
It should be the same. You're right about that. The price of diesel today, the national average for diesel, let's see, $3.71 is the average nationally. Great call, Gordon. You're right. Diesel should be cheaper. I'll be back. All right, here earlier this week, you heard the Supreme Court heard arguments on whether or not Donald Trump can place tariffs on foreign countries. I actually heard one of the justices ask, well, how would you return the money? As if that's an option. It is completely remarkable. Ilya Shapiro is a senior fellow and director of constitutional studies at the Manhattan Institute. He is in the belly of the beast today in D.C. Ilya, thank you for being here.
Good to be with you.
All right, let's talk about this. You listened to the oral arguments. Look, I don't think that this is even a close call, but, you know, I'm just a guy out here in the middle of the country watching. It seems to me the president has to have the ability to issue tariffs. It's always been that way, from my understanding. Did I miss a chapter somewhere?
Well, the devil is in the details. It's what kind of tariffs, for what reason, and this IEEPA, as it's called, the statute, the International Economic Emergency Prevention Act, might not give that broad swath to levy any kind of tariff whenever the president wants. And the justices really struggled to find a textual justification in that pretty broad, vague law for the kind of tariffs that we've seen. And several justices were concerned that if there was justification in the law, then the law itself might not be constitutional.
Well, here's the problem with that. We've seen results. We have seen results with better trade deals with the EU. Donald Trump just made a deal with the Chinese, deals with Vietnam, South Korea, elsewhere, Japan, investments coming in the United States. Look, a lot of people do not like the tariffs, but from where I'm sitting, it seems to have been a good bit of leverage. If you take that leverage away from Donald Trump, we will be, as he says, I think, defenseless, because he won't be able to do anything. And he'll never get an agreement out of this Democratic minority in the United States Senate. You know, reading tea leaves at the Supreme Court's a dangerous pastime, but what are your thoughts? Which way does it go?
Yeah, well, I mean, those arguments may or may not be right, but you know, whether it's strategically good or the leverage point, what have you, is not relevant to the legal questions at issue. But I have good news, regardless of what the court does. I think it's more likely than not they will block the tariffs. But as Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, said, there are other ways of levying tariffs. They just have to be more targeted, more focused. You know, national security for China, retaliation against Europe, different things that, indeed, as you said at the outset, presidents for a long time have had the authority under different provisions to levy. The issue here is that, as I said, this IEEPA statute has never been used in this way, and that's really what I think a majority of the court was struggling with.
So let me be clear then. Broad-based, broad-brushed tariffs, you think probably going to get rejected, but targeted tariffs using other things, national security, obviously an issue with China that steals intellectual property, has spies on the ground here as we do there and everything else. Obviously competitive, and they play dirty because they're at war with us, whether we realize it or not. It's an asymmetrical war on a variety of fronts, be it economic being the most important. So if they are targeted tariffs and have specific reasoning, then that would pass muster, is what you're saying, at least your guess.
That's right. That's right. And certain kinds of tariffs might not be able to be levied as a basis for an emergency. For example, the fact that we have a trade deficit that's ongoing might not be an emergency. All of these different types of considerations. For example, President George W. Bush levied steel tariffs because that was a strategic industry that was under fire, he said. And you know, any kind, I don't recall whether there were legal challenges, but they didn't get very far. So yeah, there are a lot of tools in the toolkit. But like I said, based on how argument went, based on how most legal pundits are looking at this, it's more likely than not that this does not survive the court for reasons that might be fractured. There might not be agreement among the justices exactly why, but that's getting into the legal weeds.
So here would be my question. Ilya. One of the things that Donald Trump wants, when it's all said and done, are 10% base tariffs globally. I mean, that's he pretty much has made that clear. Would that pass muster or not?
Again, it depends on which statutory authorities are used. It would be on cleaner ground if you could get something like that through Congress. But it's not the case. I don't think you'd get any votes at all at the court for saying the president can levy any amount of tariff for any reason on any country at any time at all. So there has to be a limiting principle. as lawyers call it.
Yeah.
So it just depends. And as you said, there's leverage with all of these things. So you could have a negotiated regime.
I don't know if you could get a lunch break through in bipartisan fashion in the Congress today. Honestly, I mean, you look at this government shutdown, this clean resolution that the Democrats have rejected, 14, 15 times now, votes to pay SNAP benefits and military paychecks. No. TSA, no. Flight controllers, no. Air traffic controllers, no. It's a difficult set of circumstances. I'll give you the last word.
It always is legislatively, and this case has major political and economic impact. Nobody is disputing that, and that's partly why the justices are skeptical that you could hang something so important, so big, that's called the major question, the lawyers say, on the vague language of this 50-year-old statute. So that's just the way that this works.
How fast will we get an answer?
By Christmas, I'm guessing. And what the court might do is pair a win for the president in removing the heads of independent agencies with a loss in this tariff case. That's coming up, going to be argued in a few weeks.
There you go. Federal Trump did rule that Trump has to fund SNAP by today. We'll see how that plays. These federal judges, apparently the Supreme Court saying district judges can't do these things, had no impact whatsoever. That'll end up back in the Supreme Court. Yeah, great conversation. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, so broad-based tariffs, he thinks probably not. We'll have to see what happens before Christmas. We'll see how it plays out. It's a free speech, free-for-all Friday. I've got some callers on the line. Mike will be up next from Virginia. 877-310-9966. What do you think about tariffs? What do you think about the filibuster? What do you think about the government shutdown? Let's talk about it, America. It is the Steve Gruber Show. All right, back to it. Here's a question from a listener that I'll share you. Why is everyone so afraid of short-term pain for long-term gain? Why is America so interested in making the rest of the world rich while bankrupting this country? Pretty good question from one of our listeners. Mike is in Virginia, as we mentioned. Mike, how are you today?
Good, Stephen Gruber. How are you?
I'm well. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, we're talking about getting rid of the filibuster, but it's not really the filibuster we're getting rid of. We're getting rid of the Rule 22 cloture rule, where the threshold is only 60 instead of 67. I've got no problem with the real filibuster where one senator stands and it's mandatory attendance for the senators to be there. The fake filibuster has been unconstitutional ever since it was imposed on the Senate. And your earlier caller was correct on that on civics. We need to get an education about what's going on. But one senator being able to hold up what happens in the Senate for as long as he can stay on his feet is a good thing. It causes people to have to listen to what's being said. And with the age of cable television, now the public could watch a filibuster take place for as long as they wanted to and learn what the real issues are.
Yeah. They're forced to listen, but usually these long filibusters don't result in in anything, really, from what I can tell. But it's a great call,
but
Mike.
they don't happen anymore.
That's right. The fake filibuster.
Right.
What year did that happen?
74 or something. The filibuster in name only was started because they didn't want people to see the public debate. They wanted to just be able to not be there and not get anything done on particular legislation. It gives the minority too much power to end.
That's right.
The possibility of passing things.
The point you make here, and I'll make it again, the No Kings protest, right? No Kings. Not much of a king when the minority party in every branch of the government, the House, the Senate, the White House, that part of it, the minority party can stop everything and make demands, unreasonable demands, because of the fake filibuster from 1974. Mike, good education. Thank you. There you have it. You can join the conversation, 877-310-9966. It's Free Speech, Free for All Friday. Up next, we'll have Congressman Tim Walberg. He can weigh in on the shutdown and everything else going on after this on The Steve Gruber Show. All right, back to it now. I'm looking at the big board for flights today because Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, said, look, we're going to have to slow things down because of a lack of air traffic controllers that are taking personal time off. They haven't been paid in a couple of rounds now. According to FlightAware, total delays today over 10,000. Now, those some could be minor, but here's the numbers that matter. Total cancellations so far today, 1,110. That's domestic and international. Places being hard hit: New York, Boston, Detroit, not great. Chicago, not great. The government shutdown creating real problems for your fellow citizens. Joining me now is Congressman Tim Walberg from Michigan's 5th Congressional District. Congressman, how are you?
Well, Steve, I'm fine personally. Getting a little bit frustrated that I can't be back and leading our Education Workforce Committee with all sorts of, I think, very important hearings coming up in the area of education and workforce. And it's being held up because senators, the Democrat senators, have decided that it's better to shut down government and try to claim certain concessions from Republicans that they can't get. What they're asking for is impossible for a common sense person to believe that they would ever get us voting a return back to socialism and paying for illegal aliens, health care, and even propping up the Unaffordable Care Act with subsidies to insurance companies. They couldn't even do that themselves when they put through the plan. So here we are with all sorts of opportunity to negotiate, and yet they've wasted it now for, 49 days at least since the Republicans in the House passed the continuing resolution and gave us the opportunity to negotiate, with the senators have turned for political reasons.
So even if they came back and said, okay, we can do this, the bill that you put forth, the House, it runs out on the 21st of November. I mean, what's the point?
Well, the point is that you give that amount of time, and then the House comes back and the Senate, and we probably put through another short-term continuing resolution at the least, with commitments that I would hope that the Democrat senators would believe this time. Trump has shown that he's willing to negotiate, though he's not said he will accept everything they're asking for, certainly. And the House, the Speaker of the House has said, we're willing to negotiate. We've got 12 bills that we've already passed out of our Appropriations Committee, all 12 appropriations bills to fund the government in the normal process under regular order. We've sent 3 over to the Senate. They're, I guess, thinking about putting that in a vote today to open government, putting those 3 bills in an omnibus and sending it back to the House. We'll see what happens, but we're ready to go, and we've been ready to go since September 19th. And now they've put more pain, inflicted, in fact, danger on the American people, especially those who are flying. And I'm glad that Secretary Duffy said, no way are we going to take a unaccountable risk for traveler safety. We're going to reduce the number of flights. But again, that's going to provide more pain. And I think Bernie Sanders and AOC and Madami, the Kami, all want to see this pain because they think the pain will cause foment in society to the point that Republicans will break down. I don't think we will. We believe in America too much.
Let me ask you this, because this is the important thing. It's the filibuster. And from where I'm sitting right now, I mean, we know that if not for Senators Sinema and Manchin, the Democrats would have deep-sixed the filibuster the last time they had the chance. They would have tried to create, we'd probably have the state of Puerto Rico now and D.C. We would have open borders. And there's some things that have to get done. The SAVE Act has to get done. We have to codify, people have to give ID to vote. We have to have a secure border. We have to do certain things, and it's just not happening. And so what is your opinion on the filibuster as we sit here today?
Well, I'm not a senator, nor will I ever be, so I will never vote on that. But personally, I think cloture has been wrong ever since it was implemented. That's a chicken way out. It's a way to evade the public scrutiny of what's going on, and one senator in the minority party can hang up everything that's good for the American economy and American people. So I think that's wrong. If we went back to a real filibuster where a person had to stand and speak without sitting down, without leaving the floor until they dropped or wet their pants, I could go with that.
Yeah.
But right now, I think the president is saying, listen, we know the Democrats, the socialists, they're not Democrats anymore. They're socialists.
That's right.
They've said so. They will destroy this country. And if they're given a chance, they will do away with any type of cloture or filibuster, and they'll ram things through. The only hope is that we'd have a Republican still in the White House that could stop that. But eventually, something will change unless America wakes up and says no to what's been going on. And Bernie Sanders and all of the rest of you are not going to take over America. So, I see what the president is saying. I see that he has 3 years. He wants to get something done. He wants to save America as best possible that he can. And so I would be willing, if I were a senator, to consider doing away with the filibuster, cloture altogether, and going for broke to try to do the best we can.
That's what I would do. That's my recommendation. But the votes aren't there because you don't have people that can see what's obvious. The first chance the Democrats ever get, they'll stop it. Now, having said that, I want to talk real quickly. We got about 2 minutes about redistricting. California put through Prop 50. Texas is going to redistrict. Those two are going to equal each other out. Virginia now apparently going to redistrict and add more Democrats. But so is Ohio, North Carolina, Indiana adding Republicans. And the big wild card, and I don't think it's much of a wild card, is the Supreme Court case over the Voting Rights Act of 1965, where they're going to rule, and I'm sure of this, that you cannot draw districts based on race, which will impact districts in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, as many as 12 Republican seats, plus the ones that I just named. It's possible the Republicans could end up with a plus 15 map, plus 20 map if this comes to fruition. What are your thoughts?
It very well could. I mean, Michigan is in that same boat as a voters' rights state, which really, in the end, has taken away opportunities for minorities because of the way this redistricting commission, which I think is also unconstitutional, has done in the state of Michigan. So no, it's a battle out there. And I think right now, all hands have to be on deck and all dukes put up for a fight. We have to do that. This is too great of a danger zone for our country. And they made it very clear now. When you see Bernie Sanders and AOC jumping for joy at the Mandami the Commie being put in place, and Virginia, New Jersey going back.
Well, before I let you go, I only got about 30 seconds, but I think the Republicans have to look at Mamdani winning and look at what he ran on affordability and the economy and identifying with people that thought that they had not been heard in years. Same thing Donald Trump tapped into in 24. Republicans better not just mock Mamdani, but better study what he did. 30 seconds, last word.
Even more than that, Steve, we got to talk about the beauty of capitalism.
Yeah.
And be stronger in talking about the beauty of capitalism. That the fact that because of that, we are the most compassionate, caring, and giving country in the world. And I'm talking about the private sector, individuals that give to world needs, Samaritan's Purse and other organizations that are able to do it because we have the resources due to that great concept of free enterprise capitalism.
Amen.
And we got to sing of it, not socialism. It will never work.
Congressman Tim Walberg, good conversation, my friend. Enjoy the weekend.
But we'll work hard through the weekend as well.
Thank you, sir. I'll take a break and be back. We'll take your calls, 877-310-9966 on the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. Hey. All right, back at it on a Friday. Free speech, free for all Friday. Some things I'd like to get to. I want to go to bite 6 here, Anthony, because Steve Bannon called it for what it is. The DOJ, by the way, is preparing grand jury subpoenas relating to John Brennan and others. Russiagate subpoenas are going out, 30 in all. More than 24 Russiagate-related subpoenas being sent out. Just the News is reporting, coming at the same time that the Justice Department's prosecution of James Comey has resulted in the release of a host of new information about the fired FBI director as well as about the Bureau's secret stashing away of details on its investigation into President Trump. A federal grand jury in the process of issuing more than 30 subpoenas tied to the false claims of the Trump-Russia collusion that were propagated by the U.S. intelligence community and federal law enforcement in 2016 and beyond. A source directly familiar with the matter who declined to be identified due to the sensitive nature of the investigation telling Just the News some of the subpoenas were sent out yesterday, more being sent out today. The subpoenas being sent out as new revelations indicate that Comey, who was indicted earlier this year by a Virginia grand jury, expected former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to emerge victorious in 2016, that the ex-FBI director was aware of the so-called Clinton plan intelligence wrongly linking Trump to Russia, that key information on Crossfire, Hurricane, and other FBI investigations was hidden in burn bags at FBI headquarters, and that his friend and lawyer Daniel Richman leaked to the media despite FBI guidelines clearly making that illegal. So we'll see what happens here. There's a lot. There's a lot. Speaking of the socialists, here's the best quote I've heard so far about what happened with the shift towards socialism in America. Even as the forest got smaller and smaller, the trees kept voting for the axe. For the axe was clever and convinced the trees that because its handle was made of wood, it was one of them when it was there to destroy them. All right, let's go to bite number 6. Here's some warnings from Steve Bannon. Listen.
If we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They're getting more and more and more radical. And we have to counter that. And what do we have to counter it with? We have to counter it with more action, more intense action, more urgency. We're burning daylight. If you look across every aspect of this, we have to codify what President Trump has done by executive order, right? We have to codify it. And people say, well, they're just going to be messing bills and pay Senate. We got to put aside these structural barriers and get on with it. President Trump today gave to the Senate when they came over for breakfast. Even Lindsey Graham, some of the guys he liked, and some of these institutions, I understand. This is a very tough decision to make. And you're going to see some people in the conservative movement that not in a million years, because I talked to him today, quite frankly, I had Hawley on the show this morning. Josh Hawley, and he's talking about it, and I'm trying to play the institution. Well, they called me up this afternoon and said, let's go through the 10 reasons we need to do it, and these are heavy hitters on what I would call the constitutional, the limited government constitutionalist in our movement. And they're about to come out over the next couple of days and make this argument because it said, look, we have to understand that if we don't take this to the maximum, a maximalist strategy now with a sense of urgency, and in doing this, seize the institutions. If we don't do that now, we're going to lose this chance forever.
He's right. He's absolutely right. If we don't do it now, we lose the chance forever, and maybe the country. Do not dismiss that. Of all the people I listen to, Steve Bannon can see around a political corner better than just about anybody in my lifetime. He can see around a political corner and call it pretty damn accurately. A couple other quick stories here for you. The Supreme Court sided with the Trump administration on transgender passports. Passports must have your biological sex on them. You don't get to put gender X or Y or Z. You're male or you're female. Displaying passport holder sex at birth no more offends equal protection principles than displaying their country of birth. In both cases, the government is merely attesting to a historical fact without subjecting anyone to differential treatment. That's how the High Court ruled. There you have it. Oh, and Mamdani, you know, the man of the people, the socialist, got on a private jet and headed straight to Puerto Rico to a giant luxury resort at a big fat party with Letitia James and other high-level Democrats. Cocktails and big celebrations. Yeah, he's not too worried about the homeless people or the poor people in New York. He's getting right to work at the bar, just so you know. This part of the program brought to you by the Wellness Company. What if those who were once called conspiracy theorists turned out to be right again? A new study by Korean doctors claimed that COVID vaccines raise the risk of cancer, 6 of them: lung cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, and others. Researchers analyzed health records for more than 8.4 million adults between 2021 and 2023, and their findings were published in Biomarker Research, a respected scientific journal. Critics dismiss it, of course, but the data raises concern that spike protein exposure may be tied to long-term health risks. Dr. Peter McCullough has been aware of this since 2020, which is why he collaborated with the Wellness Company to create the Ultimate Spike Detox, designed to help your body clear spike proteins, reduce inflammation, support heart health with natural ingredients: dandelion root, bromelain, and much more. Your daily proactive defense from a man-made virus. Don't wait until symptoms strike or something unexpected happens. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. McCullough, one of the top doctors who risked it all. You can find out more at twc.health/Gruber. twc.health/Gruber. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll get 10% off and free shipping. Again, that's twc.health/Gruber. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll get 10% off. Get back to that pre-COVID feeling. Good idea, right? We appreciate the Wellness Company. Great partners here. We use their products every day in this household. You should as well. Great company. All sorts of things to find there, including the best emergency kits. I'll take a break and be back on Free Speech Free for All Friday. Brock Palmbush will have sports around the corner. Let's check in on sports now with our good friend Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. The Denver Broncos moved to 8-2 on the season with a 10-7 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders last night in Denver. J.L. Skinner's blocked punt late in the third quarter set up what turned out to be the winning field goal, a 32-yarder by Will Lutz. The Broncos are 8-2. The Raiders dropped to 2-7. In college football, Georgia Southern beat Appalachian State 25-23 on the road, and South Florida crushed Texas San Antonio at home 55-23. In the NBA, just one game. Phoenix beat the LA Clippers 115-102. In the NHL, there were 9 games last night. Winners included Pittsburgh, New Jersey, St. Louis, and Anaheim. In top 25 men's college basketball, number 3 Florida, number 11 Louisville, and number 16 Iowa State all won. In top 25 women's college basketball, number 3 UCLA, number 5 LSU, and number 10 Maryland all won. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, thank you. Did you know that American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity, and cyber criminals are targeting it with a growing scam the FBI calls house stealing? Excuse me. Home alarms, doorbell cameras, deadbolts won't work against these thieves because they're not after your stuff. They're after your money, your equity. If your title isn't being monitored, scammers can transfer the title out of your name into their name using a one-page document they file at the county. Then take out loans against it or even sell it behind your back. The scariest part, you won't even know about it until those notices show up in your mailbox. But by then, the damage has been done. The best way to protect your equity is with triple lock protection from our friends at Home Title Lock. Triple lock protection, 24/7 monitoring, alerts of any changes, and God forbid, if the worst happens, restoration services at no out-of-pocket cost to you. You can check on your home's title today and make sure you're not already a victim. Use the promo code Gruber at HometitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their multi-million-dollar triple lock protection, 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts of any changes, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go right now to HometitleLock.com. Use the promo code Gruber. HometitleLock.com, promo code Gruber. HometitleLock.com, promo code Gruber. Great partner of ours here. We'll be back with another big hour of the Steve Gruber Show on a Free-for-All Friday. something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Here we go, rolling into another brand new hour, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom as we do every single day. I'm glad you're along for the conversation on a big Friday, a rainy Friday across Michigan, but the rest of the country looks pretty good today. Glad to have you here as I fight for you from the foxhole of freedom like we do every single day. Three big things to know this hour. Number one, Donald Trump has announced a deal with drug makers to lower the cost of weight loss drugs. GLP-1s, Wegovy, and Zepbound are affected. Number two, the government shutdown continues today. What is it, day 35, day 36, day 38? I've lost track. So have a lot of other people. And number three, I've been following this for you this morning because it's getting worse. The shutdown at airports expected to worsen today. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy saying that flights will be delayed, lots of them. And so far today on the big board, total delays, 690. Total cancellations today, 1,119. And some of the places that are being hardest hit are New York, Boston, D.C., Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, and Dallas, Miami as well. Other places like Denver not doing too well. Chicago, 17 delays, 15 cancellations thus far today. At DFW, 9-9. Detroit's only 4-4 so far. So, there it is. A big problem is the shutdown just continues and drags on. And it's pushed to the forefront for me, the filibuster. The filibuster, or as some call it, the fake filibuster, cloture, which was created basically in 1974. The Democrats last time made it clear that if given the chance, they would kill the filibuster and they would do things like pack the Supreme Court, which, by the way, there is no number of Supreme Court justices. They could have 25 if they're so inclined. And the 6 conservatives would be irrelevant, right? Be 19-6 would be all your Supreme Court rulings. Voter ID, the SAVE Act, doesn't go anywhere with Democrats blocking the way. Securing the southern border and keeping it that way doesn't go anywhere. Deportations of illegals in this country would stop. Puerto Rico would become a state, so would D.C. So my feeling is it's time to end the filibuster. I don't think there's any way around it. I don't think there's any way around it. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin agrees with me. Here's what he says.
Do you agree? What do you make of blowing up the filibuster?
I've always been a big supporter of the filibuster. It has stopped America from going down a socialist path for decades. But the president is right, and I told him, at this point in time, he's 100% correct. The Democrats purged the last 2 senators who held out and supported the filibuster. So we know they have no respect for the filibuster. I don't think there will be a Democrat Senate candidate running for office that won't pledge to, again, end the filibuster. So we need to strike first. Now, when the Democrats eliminate the filibuster, it'll all be about their maintenance of power, as the president laid out there. It'll be more senators packing the Supreme Court. It'll all be about their acquisition and maintenance of power. If we're to do it, it will be for the benefit of the American people. We'll further secure our border. We'll secure our elections. I would love to sit down with Democrats to repair the damage done by Obamacare and transition to a system that actually works, rather than continue to throw hundreds of billions of dollars at a completely failed system. We're having a hearing today in my committee on assessing the damage of Obamacare. If Democrats would actually acknowledge that, admit what a miserable failure Obamacare is, we could fix that for the American public. So again, I hate the fact that Democrats are going to blow up the filibuster, but they will. We have to acknowledge that awful reality, and I think we probably need to act first.
We probably need to act first. I think that he's right about that. You can't just let this go because it's a turning point. If they pack the Supreme Court, add 2 states in D.C. and Puerto Rico, that's 4 senators that'll be lifetime Democrats, pretty clearly. The handouts to those on so-called safety nets would expand dramatically. We already have 15% of Americans, roughly, taking SNAP benefits. There's something clearly wrong with that. We have failed. They will give free health care to everyone, including people that don't belong in this country because they're not here legally. Oh, and by the way, a senator, Peter Welch of Vermont, was on the Senate floor yesterday. He actually admitted that Obamacare is a failure because it is. It was designed to fail. It is failing. It will drive us to a single-payer health care system, which means another mechanism for the Democrats to buy votes. Here's what he said.
I owe you an answer on why it is I'm standing here today asking to extend something that was temporary. And here's the reason. We did fail to bring down the cost of health care.
We failed to bring down the cost of health care. These subsidies the Democrats have shut the government down over were temporary. They were supposed to fix these problems. As he just admitted, they didn't. The Affordable Care Act didn't bring down the cost of anything. It didn't bring down the cost of anything. Donald Trump says Obamacare is a failure as well. Here's what he said.
17 or 18%, and that's not my fault. I didn't want Obamacare. That's the fault of the people that put it in, the Democrats. And now they want it subsidized further. But, you know, where you take it from them, you take it from a lot of other people. We could have much better health care at a much lower price.
Much better health care at a much better price. But you can't do anything when you are snake bitten. So day 38, what day is it on this shutdown? I've lost track. Meanwhile, the Dow is going to open lower today by a couple of hundred points. The S&P is going to open a little bit lower, as is the NASDAQ, but still in remarkable territory, to say the least. Anthony was telling me that there's a guy who just bet $1.1 billion on the market tanking. $1.1 billion on the market tanking.
Specifically, I think it was specifically between NVIDIA and Palantir, actually.
He thinks Palantir is going to tank?
Yeah, both of them. But I think it represents his bigger idea that the AI bubble and tech is going to, it's a bubble and that it's going to burst. Michael Burry.
What's his track record? He called one, but what's his overall track record?
I guess enough to bet $1.1 billion. He's just an investor. I don't know too much about him. I just know he predicted the dot-com bubble bursting, and he made a bunch of money off of that in the 2008 crash.
There you go. All right, there you have it. Palantir, the stock is down, but not in crash territory. Palantir, 6.83%, down 6.4% as of this morning. Lost 1.7%. We'll keep an eye on that. I certainly hope that doesn't happen, but we'll see where it all ends up. All right, we're going to take a break and be back with Steve Doolin on some of these important court cases and how they might play out after this. All right, back to it as we bring in the best-looking, most capable, best educated, most informed attorney in the history of attorneys. And gosh darn it, he's here to help us out. It's Doolin, everybody. Steve Doolin, how are you?
Great, Gruber, especially after that intro.
Well, why wouldn't you be? Yeah, why the hell wouldn't you be? All right, let's talk about some things. First of all, the Supreme Court rules that no, you cannot be a trans on your passport. You have to put what's biologically true. I had the statement here a minute ago. I don't care really. Basically, it's a historical fact is what they wrote, as in your country where you were born, your biological sex. These things are not up for debate, not on your passport. How do you feel about it?
Well, I think it's true and correct. The information on the passport is supposed to include immutable characteristics, things you cannot change. And if I can change something fundamental, like my sex and gender at will, then the passport identification is diluted.
Or meaningless.
Well, yeah, probably not meaningless, but less meaningful. I'll go with you that far.
Well, yeah, if you just put down gender X on a driver's license or whatever, what does that mean? I mean,
it doesn't mean anything for that question. But you still got the other identifiers, so it weakens it, but it doesn't destroy it.
Yeah. All right, so let me talk to you about tariffs. That's in front of the Supreme Court this week. Apparently, the way this, I had a guy on earlier talking about this. He said he's pretty sure the Supreme Court is going to strike down Donald Trump's ability to just put broad-based tariffs, that he has to be more targeted, to say we're targeting China because of national security. You can't just say, well, it's an emergency because we have a trade deficit or whatever. What are your thoughts on that? Have you been following that?
I've been following it a little bit. It's been interesting from the beginning. It's an interesting topic for everybody. How much power does the president have, right? I mean, people have been whining about the imperial presidency for quite a while, since probably before you and I were born. And the separate but equal branches, the balance of power question is never going to go away. It's a built-in tension in our founding documents. So the question here is this a tax, which is a power of Congress, or is it a tool of diplomacy, which is within the purview of the executive? And it's kind of a little of both. This is one of those hybrid areas where I kind of agree with your previous guest. The president has some tariff power, but maybe not all the tariff power.
Yeah, not all the tariff power. All right, fair enough. So we'll see where that goes. All right, so then the big question I have, the Voting Rights Act. Because I think that this case is the one that needs to be talked about most. The Supreme Court's going to decide, and I think I know how they're going to decide, about whether congressional districts can be drawn based on race, specifically one race, black districts versus everybody else, which is odd considering that the Hispanic population in America is far larger now than the black population. I don't know if there's any Hispanic-specific districts in America. Maybe they don't have the political power to muscle it through. But if the Supreme Court rules the way I think that they will, that would mean states like Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, even Michigan potentially could have districts tossed out because they're based solely on race. That would be a game changer that would give Republicans a dozen seats, maybe more, in the House. It's a very big case, isn't it?
It really is. Putting aside the political issue, the strict legal issue here is whether discrimination based on race is okay to some extent in certain circumstances, right? The idea of equal protection is we're not supposed to have immutable characteristics, coming back to that same term from earlier, determining treatment under the law. And if the race of the voter is taken into account, then we are looking at immutable characteristics. Now, there were some reasons given, some legal justification to redress past discrimination. And the question has been...
Well then, frozen in time. The best looking, most talented attorney in the history of attorneys is frozen in time. Well, we'll see if we get him back. If not, we'll just have to wait till next week. Kind of disappointing. Look, I think that case is so incredibly important. I think they ruled 6-3. I don't think it's legal. I don't think it's constitutional to have congressional districts drawn based on race any more than it would be on male and female districts or anything else for that matter. They just have to be a cross-section of about 750,000 people, roughly, divided equally, roughly. And when you do that, you'll find out that in Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and elsewhere, those districts are not legal. They're not drawn legally. And so here's what happens. If that becomes 12 seats for the Republicans, which is the base number, it could be higher than that. And then you can consider that Texas and California are going to cancel each other out. But North Carolina and Virginia is probably going to redistrict, so you can give them a couple more seats. So the Democrats are up 2, but now they're still down 10 because of the 12 coming from the Supreme Court ruling. Then you add in North Carolina 1 or 2, Ohio 1 or 2, Indiana 1, Missouri 1 or 2. Also, there's, we'll just call it 4 or 5 seats there for the Republicans. And then there's discussion now that Florida is going to consider redistricting. Well, if that happens, that could be plus 4 or 5. Well, suddenly those 12 plus the ones that I just named put you at 20 Republican seats, maybe 22 or 3, because they become more honest districts based on voters, not on immutable characteristics. You watch. This is the most important case. The question is, will these states be ready? Will Alabama and Mississippi and Tennessee, will they be ready when the Supreme Court hands down a ruling that says you can't do that? You can't do that. Will they be ready before the midterms in November of 26? I believe they will be. These are deep red states, most of them. And if Florida does redistricting, which they should, Governor DeSantis, we're counting on you. Let's get this done. Let's save a country. It's the Steve Gruber Show. I'm not going to get to him today. I got to finish this with Doolin. All right, Doolin is no longer frozen in time. We chipped him out of the ice. That's how talented we are here. Anthony just got out the laser light. And then there he is, the best looking man. All right, Doolin, finish your thought.
Okay, so we were talking about the congressional districts being drawn by race, and just as my tech was fading here, you mentioned it's approximately 750,000 people per representative, and that is actually kind of a problem, right? And it's going to only get worse moving forward as the population grows. It's very difficult for one representative to be responsive to 1 million people, essentially, and actually have any kind of relationship with the population that person's representing. Heck, some countries are smaller than that, and they've got entire representative bodies. So you reminded me that there is in existence an early draft of the Constitution that used a different way of apportioning the House of Representatives, and arguably it passed at some point. We don't have quite enough historical evidence to say that it definitely should have been the law we operate under, but it was a great idea, which is one representative in the House for every 50,000 population.
Right.
50,000 is a manageable number in terms of representing your constituents. And at some point, as population grows, we're going to have to readdress that issue as a country, because it's a better idea, frankly, to have the House of Representatives grow than to have the number of constituents per representative grow beyond all control.
Right. I mean, because some of these districts have 1 million people, right? It's supposed to be about 750. It's 1 million now, and it just continues to grow. Doolin, good stuff. Thank you for coming back. Always appreciate you, my friend.
Thanks for letting me back in the door, Steve.
Well, of course. Knock, knock. Who's there? It's Doolin. All right, Doolin. We'll talk to you next week.
Have a good one.
We'll take a break and be right back. It is the Steve Gruber Show on a Free Speech, Free for All Friday. I think we're pretty packed out for the rest of the day, but gosh, I appreciate you. You can always send me an email, stevegruber.com, the way to do that. Follow us on all the social media platforms. We, by the way, are looking for a new social media team. Is that you? We're looking for a new social media team. And come December 1st, we'll have some changes in our radio lineup. There's some changes. We're being moved from some stations onto new stations. In Lansing, that'll be 7:30 a.m. WVFN will be the new home of the Steve Gruber Show starting December the 1st. I'll be right back. All right, here we go back into it. And I'm just pulling up a map because I want to see this for myself. Sometimes I don't know exactly where these places are. My next guest, State Representative William Bruck. He represents Michigan's 30th Congressional District, and it said Lake Erie. And I thought, well, where is that? Well, it's down in my home stomping grounds of Monroe County, if I'm not mistaken. William, welcome back.
Yes, sir. It's an honor to be here with you again, Steve. And I grew up right around the corner from Gruber Road, so
Well,
we have something in common.
Yeah, there you go. Gruber Road, right there in Monroe County. It's where my family on my dad's side came from. So, welcome back. You're going to speak on new bipartisan plans to protect critical Michigan infrastructure, and you also want to talk about drones. Tell me what you got working right now and how things are going in Lansing.
Well, Lansing is open for business. I mean,
That's
we did
good.
something that the federal government can't seem to do. We had a bipartisan budget plan, and we got it through working with a Republican House, a Democrat Senate, and a Democrat governor, and we got a bipartisan budget through that. It wasn't all wins and it wasn't all losses. It was bipartisan, and we kept the government open. And on top of that, we even included this last week a week extension on the SNAP benefits. So, I mean, we're doing what we need to do at the state level.
So let me ask you about that.
Senate.
While you mentioned that, William, let me ask you, SNAP benefits, what can the state of Michigan do to make sure that people that need that food have access to it? I mean, I know that churches and nonprofits and charities are stepping up to do what they can, but what can the state of Michigan do legally and financially?
What we can fund is the food bank program, and Speaker Hall and the governor made an agreement to extend that benefit. So essentially, it's not directly feeding the bridge cards, but it's supplying and financing the SNAP program. And there was 3 people at the table, and Winnie Brinks left the table last Thursday, and so the governor and the Speaker of the House did their own plan and extended it for 1 week on a week-by-week basis, not to take the pressure off our senators. The Senate wanted to pass a $70 million plan to fund SNAP for like a month and a half or 2 months or something. They wanted to take the pressure off our senators, and we do not want to do that. We want the senators to do their job and pass a continuing resolution in D.C. So, Speaker Hall and the governor made their own plan together because Winnie Brinks left the table. So that's kind of sad on her part. But,
well, let me give credit where credit is due. Let me give credit to Governor Gretchen Whitmer for doing the right thing and for Speaker Hall for doing the right thing. Look, I don't agree with the governor on a number of things, but I agree with her on that. And I will say so when I do. I might get a couple of nasty grams in my inbox. I don't care. When they do the right thing, they do the right thing. And when they do the right thing, don't be afraid to say, hey, my colleague across the aisle did the right thing. So congratulations to Governor Whitmer to make sure that people here are taken care of. I appreciate that. Not as much as they do, because they really appreciate the fact that that happens. All right, let's talk about the infrastructure.
It's not their fault that the federal government shut down, and people are suffering, regardless of, who you think should be or not be on SNAP. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of people that depend on that each and every, month. And so we had to do the right thing in Michigan. So we did. But now we're going to talk about infrastructure protection. And I'm real excited about this, Steve. We have the most comprehensive drone package in the U.S. right now that we're going to introduce on Tuesday next week that deals with both infrastructure and public safety in the drone world in the air. So I'm super excited.
All right, so what is – okay. I know what a bridge is. I know what a road is and a sidewalk and a bike path and a municipal water system. That's all infrastructure. Why are drones part of the infrastructure conversation?
Well, it takes about 40 minutes to get into Fermi. You're from Monroe County originally. We have the coal power, the cleanest, I might say, the cleanest coal-fired power plant in the world in Monroe, as well as Fermi, a nuclear power plant. It takes about 40 minutes to work through the process to get my feet on the ground in Fermi. I have to go through all these checks. I have to give them my social security number. I have to go through all kinds of processes and go through turnstiles, numbers of turnstiles and gates to get my feet in there. But yet, when you look overhead, there's absolutely nothing that keeps a drone from flying into that place. I mean, legally as well. Legally, currently in Michigan, if a drone interferes with the operations of a power plant, that's wrong. But if they fly and take videos and photos, etc., over a power plant, there's no problem. That's wrong. We live in a world where drones are serious issues around the world. We see in Ukraine and Russia. We see in the Pacific arena. We see in Africa. And just this last week, we watched in Bolivia as cartels use drones to kill police officers in a battle, street battle. So,
sure.
I mean, drones are a serious issue.
All right, so how do you do it? And this is important. How do you do it without interfering with too much freedom? And that's my real question. How do you do it? With somebody wants to fly a drone around their property and take a look. How do you make it so it's not too restrictive or takes away the rights of people that are hobbyists or people that do drone flights for real estate or whatever it might be?
Okay. Yes, sir. That's a valid question, and we are threading a very thin needle through a lot of litigate or not litigation, but legalities.
All right.
We are pushing the envelope with the FAA and the feds. The feds have failed to act. Obviously, you can see they haven't done anything for 38 days or so, but the FAA restricts so much regulation in the drone world in the air. So what we're doing, we're passing two bills. Going to present two bills, trespassing bills. One for private property that prohibits someone from flying a drone over your private property and harassing you or interfering with your privacy. The other is a trespassing regulation for critical infrastructure, power plants, water plants, chemical plants, railroads, you name it. We do not have that in place right now. So we're putting trespassing restrictions in and no-fly zones. We are also, in this bill set, it's 14 bills. We have 6 Democrats and 6 Republican sponsors. This is my passion to get this through into the governor's desk.
Right.
The others deal with empowering police and state and local police to do counter UAS to disable drones for public safety purposes. Another bill allows them to do it as well as private security at critical infrastructure points. 2 other bills deal with geofencing and other technologies that can prohibit drones from flying in that area. We want to protect our critical infrastructure. We must, because, the fact of the matter is there's nothing that keeps a series of drones from disabling 4, 5, 6 power plants in our state at the same time. Can you imagine what that would do to our economy and our state?
You're right about, you cannot approach a nuclear power plant, Cook Nuclear down in, I think it's in Berrien County. We used to go there, suicide trip, but we used to go there in February and fish because there was a warm water discharge. And guess where all the fish were stacked? Where there was no ice. It was beautiful fishing. You can't do that anymore, not since 9/11. All right, so that came to an end. You can't, so you're right. You can't approach from the ground. Why would you be allowed to approach from the air? Got to be careful here, though, because you can't just shut down drones at the whim of a politician or some technician somewhere. That's a careful. You're right. You got to thread the needle. William, I got to leave it right there. You come back anytime, my friend.
Oh, there's a lot more to it. This is the most comprehensive package in the U.S. right now, Steve, and we're going to push it. And we are pushing the envelope, but we need to because the feds have failed to act for our own security, and we need to make a change.
William Bruck from Michigan 30 in the House District. Sir, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Fascinating stuff there. But he's right. You got to thread the needle because you can't just willy-nilly shut people down, right? Or outlaw drones. Or can you? I would hope not. But I understand his point, and it makes sense to me. We'll be back with Ivy after this. All right, back to it now. The most enlightening, joyous part of my day is about to begin right now because Ivy's here. Good morning, Ivy.
Good morning, Steve.
Joyous. Joyous. You do bring me joy.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Especially when I slide, all your supplements in front of you.
Love that. Do you know how many vitamins I take? No, I'm kidding. No. We love the vitamins we take. Victory Nutrition International, VNI. Great vitamins. Love them. Honestly, they've become a really good partner. And so, yeah, I don't have a problem using it. Time-tested, scientifically backed. I mean, it's good stuff. VNI.com/Gruber, by the way. Go ahead, check that out. There's my free plug of the day. All right, so you asked me about the dumbest thing I've heard all week. First of all, let's go to Bite 7, Anthony. There was a Supreme Court ruling on this yesterday, Ivy. I don't know if you caught it, but listen.
News out of Washington, the Supreme Court will allow the Trump administration to deny transgender and non-binary Americans passports that reflect the sex designation of their choosing. The decision was 6-3 with Justices Jackson, Kagan, and Sotomayor dissenting. It pauses a lower court ruling that blocked the administration's policy.
It's the dumbest thing I've heard all week because, as MSNBC, of course, she just sounds angry. Yeah, you can't put, what's your gender? It's X, it's TZL.
Well, I mean, it's meant to verify who you are.
Right.
And if you can't put your biological sex on there, then that is not actually telling people who you are.
Exactly.
And it's just, I mean, that's common sense.
I'm going to dig here
for a second. I'm sorry,
but
that's common sense. Sorry, we're not going to, pretend and pander to the woke culture.
I had to go to the circular filing system here. But it's important. Displaying passport holders' sex at birth no more offends equal protection principles than displaying their country of birth. In both cases, the government is merely attesting to a historical fact without subjecting anyone to differential treatment. That's what the Supreme Court, exactly. But you can see, you could hear and see how angry she was. Trump won again. Oh, whatever. Get over it. Anyhow, so you can't pick gender X on your passport, probably.
And you shouldn't be able to pick gender X on your ID either. Your state-issued ID. I mean, that's just common sense. I don't know if there are places that you can or cannot, but
right.
It's just common sense.
There you go.
All right, do you have something else for
me?
I
do. Obamacare failed, right?
Yes.
It's apparently the reason.
Complaining about, Trump. It's Trump's fault.
Right. It's not Trump. No, Obamacare was rammed through by the Democrats.
Yeah, remember when Nancy Pelosi said, we have to pass it to know what's in it.
Exactly.
Because that made sense.
They were gaming it. And anyhow, so here is a senator from Vermont. Senator Peter Welch is his name. I'm not really familiar with him. He's not been there very long. Here's what he said about Obamacare and why we are where we are. He said it yesterday. Listen.
I owe you an answer on why it is I'm standing here today asking to extend something that was temporary. And here's the reason. We did fail to bring down the cost of health care.
No kidding.
Shocker.
But what's shocking is he admitted it.
Yes, and that's beautiful. Is he a Democrat?
Yes. Of course, he's from Vermont. He's Bernie Sanders. He's Bernie Sanders' wingman in Vermont. Yeah.
Gotcha. An honest Democrat. Love that. Yes. Well, first of all, when you slam something through, and then when you make it a name like the Affordable Care Act, you notice that they changed it from Obamacare to the Affordable Care Act, so it sounded like pretty and nice, and that so that they must pass this. It's affordable.
Right.
And we care about
care.
You. Right, exactly. And what did Obama say? If you have your doctor, you could keep your doctor, which wasn't true.
37 times. If you like your plan, keep your plan. If you like your doctor, keep your doctor. Yep. 37 times that I've got it on camera, on tape.
And people are paying more for their health care coverage today.
It's got,
by 5 times sometimes.
More than that in some places. Yeah. As you know, you do our insurance. You see the premiums coming. You go,
it's insane.
Every year of the Biden administration, it went up double digits, sometimes 25% during the last 4 years. And they're saying, well, it's Trump's fault. We need more subsidies. No, we need a plan that actually works and makes it affordable. And here, Donald Trump yesterday, you saw this, lowering the cost of weight loss drugs. But it's just the latest because he's also done that for pharmaceuticals of all sorts of prescription drugs. That's actually lowering the cost for people.
I think it was for insulin too? And
yeah, it did that.
Yeah, there was a bunch of things that he did. I'd have to look at all the, you know.
But lowering actual cost. And he says we could have a better system. It couldn't be much worse.
Certainly, it couldn't be much worse. Well, it's also, you know, when you did the documentary Flatline Film, flatlinefilm.com if you've never seen it.
Flatlinefilm.com. Go ahead.
But it is, you had actually spoken to a gentleman who had been in the insurance industry, correct?
Yeah.
And he said that there are like, what, thousands of different
so you could have one
scales?
Procedure, and the insurance company could have 1,000 different pricing schemes, because that's the only word that comes to mind for each. I mean, an MRI costs whatever it costs.
Right.
You get in the machine, it costs
But I think too is it really healthcare coverage, the way that insurance generally works, is that healthy folks will subsidize those that aren't healthy. So like, but now we have a world, a United States of America, that's very unhealthy. So you have a lot more people that are bogging down the system, utilizing their healthcare because they're sick.
We're the least healthy country in the world.
You know, so then everyone is getting has a need for health care, and then that's also driving the price up.
Absolutely true.
So, but and really, we need to really get down to this pricing issue. If you're on Medicaid or on Medicare, or if you're, if you have insurance or you don't have insurance, and it's a complete mess.
It is a mess, and these insurance companies are posting record profits year after year after year, all part of Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act.
Maybe it wasn't about. I mean, I'm saying this, speculating, because I don't exactly know, but they seem to benefit more than the American people.
I don't think that's speculation.
He pushed it as, I'm here to help the American people and making it more affordable. Wasn't there can you jog my memory really quickly? Was there 100% tax when that first was passed?
There was all sorts of taxes on tanning beds and all sorts of crazy stuff. Anyhow, I got to leave it there.
All right.
Love you.
I love you too, Steve.
All right. Final thoughts after this. All right, let's go and finish out Free for All Friday with our friend Jack from Toledo, Ohio. Jack, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Steve. Happy belated birthday,
Thank you.
boy.
Thank you
get
very
me
much.
as your final guest today.
All right, you got about 2 minutes.
A couple of quick things just on the Constitution.
All right.
One is, I agree with your previous guest. We need more representation in the House. The Constitution says it shall not exceed 1 per 30,000. So at that rate, we'd have 1,100 representatives. And yes, New York would have like 27 representatives, the city. But every other area would have equal representation, and our representation would probably look like the voter map for 2024. So I think that's a very good idea. I don't like the idea of getting rid of the filibuster for the exact same points that you made at the beginning of the 7 o'clock hour. If we lose control of the Senate and the House, then all of a sudden we're going to have 15 people on the Supreme Court.
But they're going to do that anyway.
No voter ID.
They're going to do it anyway.
Well, but so then what you have to do is, I forget who said it, but if you're going to shoot the king, make sure you hit the mark. Somehow or another, we'd have to just absolutely destroy the Democrat Party, because they will come back into power at some point in time, and then everything that's done under the Republican control will be undone. I think that it's very, very dubious that Washington, D.C. could ever become a state because of
It's
various
67 square
clauses
miles. I'll
in
give
the
you all that.
Constitution.
We need to talk about this more in the future. Got to leave it there, Jack. Greatly appreciate you as always, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. Great free speech, Free for All Friday, brought to you by Patriot Mobile. We appreciate them. Closed circuit for people in Lansing, Michigan. If you need firewood, now is the time. Harper Hill Forestry Products. Look them up online, and you're going to get the best firewood there is to heat your home. Harper Hill Forestry Products. Great stuff. I heat our sauna with it. Fight the good fight. Keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is the Steve Gruber Show. Remember to work harder and be better. Have a great weekend.